Hello and welcome back to the Cosmic Acad. In this video, we are going to learn conditional statement in Go. So let's talk about conditions in Go. And to make it super easy, let's imagine a simple real world scenario where you are in kitchen, deciding what to do based on the time of the day. Conditions in programming work just like same decision you make in everyday life. So what is a condition? A condition is like asking a question and deciding what to do based on the answer. For example, if it's morning, you might make coffee. If it's afternoon, you might have lunch. Otherwise, maybe it's a snack time, right? So in Go, this kind of decision making is done using conditional statement that is nothing but if and else if and else. So we'll see that. So it helps the program choose different actions or different activities based on certain rules. And how can we do that? So let's see that in action. How can we do that? So this time we are going to create a conditional statement, right? We are going to use a conditional statement. We are going to make certain decisions, right? So let's say if the time is okay, but then the time should be there, right? So we know that. How can we define a variable? So this time I'll say okay, time is something, let's say variable time, and then it is morning. All right, so then we can say okay, based on this time we should be able to make certain conditions, we should be able to make certain decision, right? So I'll say okay, if time is equals to morning, and that is exactly how we are going to put a condition or match a condition. We can just use if, again if is again a keyword over there in golang, and then we can say the exact time. This time the time is morning, so I'm just going to check for the time. I'm just going to match with the time. If time is morning, then what I need to do, I just need to create a coffee or make a coffee, not create. So I'll say okay, time is morning, so I'll make coffee. Cool. But then we have lot more time as well. We have afternoon, we have night, we have snack time as well. So we can say here okay, this time we just compared, we just put expression. You can say this as expression, and this is every time going to be a boolean expression, bool value. This should always be a bool value, so that this we can say okay, this condition is actually satisfied, true or false. All right, so based on the that decision, true or false, we are going to perform certain actions or certain activities, correct? So we can say okay, time is morning, then we can have multiple time as well. So in that case we should be able to say okay, else if, all right, else if time equals to let's say afternoon. So now if the time is afternoon, I'm going to say this time I will be having lunch. So I'll say not f print, I'll use println, and then here I'm going to say prepare lunch. All right, and then if the time is not morning and not afternoon as well, then whatever time it is, either it is going to be snack time or it is going to be dinner. So for in that case also we need, if we want to perform certain activities, we can use else. That means this both conditions which we put here is going to be false, right? That statement is going to be false, then we are not able to make any, we are not able to make any decision based on this morning or afternoon, because that is, the time has been elapsed, that time is not there, that is, that this condition is false, right? So for that, if this condition is false, we need to do something else if we want, right? So we can put else over there, and then we can say okay, we can have some snack or dinner. So I'll say prepare snacks or dinner. Cool. So let me just save it and see how it works. I'll just clear this console and run this program. and we should be able to see what exactly is happening over there. We can see here we are making coffee. That means this specific line get executed and then rest of the condition is false. And if the condition is false, the code or the statement which is present over there inside those blocks will not be executed. We can see here this 2 println is not getting executed or consoled on the print, right? Why? Because this condition is false. That means this is no more going to be executed. This condition is true, then it will come inside this if block, and where does this if block belongs to? It belongs to here. So all the code or all the specific functionalities which is present inside this specific if block will get executed and perform its operation. Correct? So this is exactly what is conditional statement and how it works, right? It will just check with the specific condition, and how can we match the condition, how can we compare that condition. For that we just need to use this double equals to, which is of course an operator in golang. So using this double equals to, you should be able to check the exact value on the left hand side and then right hand side. If the both values are same, then that expression will give you a truthy value, that is of course a boolean value, which means true or false. So this, we know that this if condition should always be a truthy value, either this is going to be false or true. Alright, so now what if this time the time is afternoon? So I'll say okay, now the time is afternoon. So let's run this code once again and check how it works. You can see here, if this is afternoon, prepare lunch, that means this condition is true only, then this if condition and this else condition is false in this case, because the time is afternoon, right? So in this case only this code will get executed and then perform its functionalities, correct? And what about if the time is not afternoon, neither afternoon nor morning? So time may be, let's say, evening, right? Evening, and then let me just save this value and check how it works. You can see here this time either we are going to prepare snacks or dinner, because this if and else if is false, right? Now we know that how can we define a condition, we know that how can we use this conditional statement to make certain decision, right? So here we can have n number of else if in between if and else. That means, what does it exactly means? I can just copy this from here and I can paste it over here as well. Now you can see we have two else if over there, but if and else will always be one. Alright, so this is how we are going to use this conditional statement all across our program. And then based on the conditional statement, of course we need to make certain decisions, or we need to execute certain piece of code if we'll talk in terms of golang, correct? And then here we are seeing that okay, we are checking this variable with the string, or we are defining this variable as a string and then comparing it with a string value, but we can do this with integer value or some other value as well. Alright, so this is the concept of if, else, and this is how it works in golang. Alright, so what's next we are going to do here is, let's see one more example. So I'll just remove this from here and I will say I will just take one more example, and in that case I'll say okay, let's say variable and is hot, let's say day. I'll say day is hot. So this is going to be either true or false. If it is true, I'll put true here, and then I will check for the condition. If day is hot, means I'll go for swimming. So I'll say okay, day is hot. Alright, now if this value is true, we know the data type of this value, and if the data type of this value is truthy value, that means boolean, or not or but the boolean, then in that case we don't need to put equals to true. That means we don't need to match it with LHS and RHS, left hand side value and then right hand side value. In that case we can directly say this: if day is hot means just go for swimming. So I'll say println go for swimming, right? I'll just save it, and we can have else part as well if we want. If we don't want, we can omit that. That's completely optional. So, but in this case, if day is not hot, that means day is cool or whatever, cloudy or something. So in that case, I'll just go for watching movies. So I'll say go for watching movies. Let me just save it and run this program, see what we are getting over there. We can see here day is hot, that means true, and we don't need to compare it with equals to because we know this specific value or variable is going to be of type boolean, right? For boolean type we don't need to put any equals to comparison over there. That's the beauty of if and else if, right? So what if I'll make it false? Let's make it false and check if that works as well. You can see here, no, this time day is not hot, so I'm going to watch for movies. That's exactly how it works. And here is one more, I'm giving you one more small tips over here. If you will put just this else on the next line, as in case of as we saw in other programming language, if you're aware of that, we can put this else on the next line as well. But then in Golang you will be getting error as a parse error, because Golang won't be able to understand this else belongs to this if. Alright, else always should belong to if. It should not be there alone. If I'll just cut it from here, you can see you cannot use direct else over there because that doesn't mean anything. What means else? There's no means, right? So if always belongs to, sorry, not if, but else always belongs to if. Okay, so but then you cannot write this else on the next line. It's always be on the same line where if ends. All right, so if ends where? On this line number 15. So this else should start always on line number 15, and the same case happens for else if as well. So you just need to write like this, otherwise Go's will parse this line and give you error. Let me just save it, and you can see now this is completely fine. So we saw that how can we make a condition, how can we make a conditional statement, how can we compare those values, and then based on the decision, based on the comparison, we are going to make certain decision, right? And what are all operators we can use here to make this value or expression as a truthy value, right? Because we know that this if else if is expecting a truthy value, either it is going to be true or false, right? So we know that we have a couple of operator over there. Using that we can make expression as a truthy or as a truthy value, either it is going to be false or true. So what are all those? So I can say, not I can say, but Golang says you can use double equals to check for the left hand side and right hand side values. Similarly, we have not equals to as well, and then we have less than, and then we have greater than as well. But we have greater than equals to, sorry, less than equals to, and then greater than equals to as well. This is nothing but an operator present in the Golang, conditional operator. Alright, you can use all these operator to perform certain, to decide certain decisions, right? We saw that in case of equals to, and then let's take all this example and we'll understand how this works. So I'm going to say, okay, if, let me just remove this day hot. This time I'm just going to use, for example, I'm going to say jar, and this jar contains, let's say, cookies. So I'll say cookies. All right, you can make any decision, or you can put any condition also as well. So I'm just going to say, okay, if jar is going to be contain, let's say sugar. So I'll say sugar, right? Okay, of course we saw the case of equals to. So let's say this time I'm going to use not equals to. So I'll just say println, and then jar, I'll say just jar does not contain sugar. That means apart from sugar it may contain anything as per this if condition. So let me just save it and I will run this code and we'll see how it works. You can see here jar does not contain sugar. That means this condition is not true because this jar has cookies, and then we are comparing with, we are just saying okay, not equals to sugar. That means of course this cookies is not equals to sugar. Both are different values, both are different data, right? That means this condition is true, and then this line will get executed and you will be getting the that on output, right? And then we have couple of more condition over there, less than equals to or greater than equals to. So we can say, let's say if we have let's say we are defining one temperature over here. So I'll say temperature, and then it's going to be, let's say 35. All right. So I'm going to say okay, if this temperature is less than 35, all right, if temperature is less than 35, then only I'm going to go out of the house. Otherwise I won't go out because the day will be, temperature will be much higher, and then I don't want to go out. So I'll say okay, if temperature is less than 35, I will go out. So I'll say okay, I will go out, cool. But if it is not less than, so I'll say okay, one more decision making statement should be there. So I'll say okay, else if temperature is not going to be less than, if it is going to be greater than 35, so in that case I'm going to say I won't go out. So I'll say I would not go out, correct, because the temperature is greater than 35. And what if the temperature is exactly 35? That can also be the scenario, right? Because we thought temperature is going to be less than 35, then we thought okay, temperature can be greater than 35, but what if temperature can be 35 only? In that case what we are going to do, right? So for that I will say okay, else, and then I will say I will think, or I will just toss, I will think and toss whether to go out or not. So let me just save it and check if that works fine. You can see here I will think and toss. That means the condition, this both condition is false because this particular expression is not true, and this expression is also not true because temperature is 35 here, and then we are matching it with less than or greater than operator, right? So what if I'll just put here as 36 and let me save it and run this code once more. So I can see here now this time I would not go out. Why? Because the temperature is greater than 35, right? So this is how we are going to use conditional statement, which is nothing but if, else if, and then else. And we know that how can we define that in the code, right? So if you guys are facing any issues, if you guys are facing any problems understanding this concept, let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer all those as early as possible. Thank you guys. We'll meet in the next video.